start with introduction. Now, loads of people think that chemistry is fun. Yes, it is. But the thing is, it's also hard. And so let's just go ahead. And first, let's talk about the periodic table of elements. Elements and elements and elements and elements. Let me show you. Now, the periodic table of elements is just a group of elements. It's a table of elements. And it's just how we group the elements. Now, the thing is, this can be used to show aliens, reveal ourselves to the alien civilization. And the thing is, well, aliens are all, we all know elements are here. And we all know that elements are created by atoms. Each atom is itself essentially a different atom and a different kind too. And the great thing about this is that it can be used for so many things. One of those things being that we can send the elements information to the outside universe. We can send it in this periodic table order too. The thing is, why would we even send this periodic table? Because it's the common language between all aliens, at least as far as we think. Now, the thing is, we know that this is the periodic table, not a periodic table. And so that maybe the aliens will call themselves call these elements different names. However, the grouping will be same. And if they found other elements too, then maybe we even advance our own. And yeah. And as far as we know, that there is a limit to the periodic table. We just don't know what the limit is. Some people say it's 150 something. Some people say it's a 200 something. But hey, it just makes things more complicated too. And this is how we can use this periodic table information to show the world that, hey, we are here. And by the world, I mean, well, space. And now let's explain each atom in its own way. Now let's start with the atom's orbital shells. Now, orbitals work out like this. We think of the atom's orbitation in orbitals, where the first order, because there's a limit of how many electrons can be in a certain distance from the nucleus. There's a certain amount, literally a certain amount distance, and a limit to how many planets can be on the Earth orbit. There can be just 2 Earths and Marses. 2 Earth and Marses just to be in the close range of that. So do electrons do that. Electrons' first shell can hold up to 2 electrons. The second can hold up to 8. And the third also holds up to 8. And the fourth, well, it doesn't explain about the fourth though. And with that, you have to fill each shell. And atoms are like, fill the outer shell, fill the outer shell, fill the outer shell. And of course, there are some atoms with only 1 electron on the outer shell. So they're like, lose the electron most of the time. Or they can just gain more electrons, just fill the outer shell. But there's an alternative way too. They can give it away and or share. Now the giving it away is called ionic bonding, because it's kind of a strong force. Because protons and electrons cancel each other out. Most of the time, the protons and electrons charges cancel each other out. But sometimes there are more electrons, more negative charges than protons, positive charges, and vice versa. And when it's more positive protons than negative electrons, you get positive charge on the atom. You have more negative electrical electrons than positive protons, then you have an electrical charge in it. And because opposites attract, they connect to each other. Let me give you an example. Sodium chloride, aka table salt. Yes, lovely old table salt. The kind that we can eat. This is table salt, and it is sodium chloride. And let me explain before I eat this. Sodium chloride is made of 2 atoms, sodium and chlorine. And technically, I like to think of it as rock plus poison gas equals salt. Ding. And yes, let me explain. Sodium is a rock. Chlorine is a poisonous gas that was used in World War II to fight. And so if I'm going to explain on this a little bit more, let me go ahead. Firstly, sodium has 1 electron on the outer shell, and chlorine only needs 1 more electron to fill its outer shell. And so, why not sodium give chlorine an electron? That's exactly what it does. And with that, both of them turn into a positive and a negative ion. The sodium becomes positive, the chlorine becomes negative. And because of that, they are linked together, and that bond is really, really strong. Not as strong as covalent bonds, though. So that they combine together to create this interesting property, a little white grains that can, well, connect to each other and then have a very high boiling temperature and a very high melting temperature and an even higher boiling temperature. And that's the true beauty of salt. And we even named a taste after it, salty. And how was this periodic table of elements discovered? And in this arrangement, that is, well, a guy named Mendeleev, he's got an element named after Mendelevian, and that he was all, well, two legends say that he created a bunch of cards, and it's all like, oh, nice! It's the periodic table of elements solitaire card game. And another legend says he's all like, and slept for 3 days right after he looked at his cards and went into a really, really deep sleep. And then when he awoke, he's all like, ah! Scribble, I got it! And yeah. And of course, that sparked a bunch of chemistry. Now, here's some interesting properties about atoms, too. You can actually use gas to make atoms. And the thing is, there's also a little bit of history, too. I mean, you could use tin and copper to create one of the greatest weapons of all time, bronze swords. However, tin and copper itself are useless. If you create a tin sword, well, you can even do that without melting it at all. You just need room temperature, and you're like, bang, 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 bang. And then I'm imagining in the battle, it'll be like, ha, take this tin sword! Yeah, ping! What, my tin broke? Are you joking? Bronze sword, smash! Ha ha! And copper, well, copper is also really, really soft too, which is good for us because we can use it to make wires. Really good for internet Wi-Fi connections, but bad for making swords and killing people. Also, nowadays we don't even use these weapons anymore. We barely use swords. And so the next time you're eating salt, think about how this salt is created. And now, we should not take this little substance for granted. How this little thing could change the entire world. Bye. And yes, if you separate this back to the two elements, which is really hard, you will get poison gas, which you can use for revenge. Don't so. Bye. For real this time.